Hello everyone and welcome back. This week we're going to have probably a shorter video than usual and we're going to be looking at some variations on CD and vinyl and even unboxing or unsealing a pretty nice release of one of the most important musicals in the history of both musical theater and cinema. And we're talking about Rodgers and Hammerstein's The Sound of Music. So if you're interested to see what variations we've got for you today and what we'll be unsealing sort of live, stick around. So there's a lot that can be said about The Sound of Music, and if you guys are interested, we'll maybe do a video in the future looking more in depth at the development of this musical, first as musical theater and then in 1965 as a now well-known musical film. But today we're going to just be focusing on the soundtrack of the film, and we're going to be looking at a couple of vinyl and a couple of CD variations of it. Now the musical and of course the movie are based on a book from 1949 by Maria von Trapp, The Story of the Trapp Family Singers, which itself chronicles some of the story of this family. Of course there are differences between real life, the book, and then the musical and the movie. Musical and the movie also romanticize a lot of stuff, add some stuff, remove some stuff so that they can make the story a better story for the audiences. Now there were also a couple of films released in Germany in the 1950s, near the end of the 1950s in fact, that chronicle the story of the Trapp family, but the one that remained still popular and most ingrained in audiences' minds is obviously the 1965 picture with its now iconic soundtrack. So again, there's a lot that can be said about the musical. You know, it won a lot of awards when it was released in the late 1950s. A lot of Tony Awards. It still remains one of the most successful musicals of all time. The movie itself, as a musical picture, but also as a movie in general, is also one of the most successful of all time. It had a huge box office success, but as well, it's one of those films that very often gets rerun on a lot of television stations, is now on streaming as well. It was released on home video a bunch of times, so it still remains one of the most iconic films in the history of cinema, not only for the musical genre. While the soundtrack, also extremely successful. When it was released in 1965, like I said, it topped the Billboard charts for many, many weeks at the same time when the Beatles were up, and then it constantly got re-released, reissued on different formats. It had a lot of anniversary editions on CD and on vinyl, so it is constantly being brought forth to the public, and the public still appreciates it. The latest release was 2 years ago in 2023, and we're going to see a couple of those examples today, and we're going to even unbox or unseal one of those releases. It is one of the more exceptional ones for The Sound of Music. But to start with, we're going to start with this original vinyl release from 1965 of The Sound of Music soundtrack in mono by RCA Victor. Now the front cover, the picture, the painted picture of the Von Trapp family is quite iconic now, with Julie Andrews taking center stage. It is a glossy front, somewhat still in pretty good condition, I would say. It has this sticker here. I was afraid to peel it off so that I don't damage further the cover. Also some dirt here on the, I'd say, lighter color sides, which are kind of yellowish. The back also has some spots of dirt. It's no longer glossy, right? It's matte. We have this black and white picture of Julie Andrews here, and some details about the cast and producers and so on, people who contributed to the movie soundtrack. Not so much in terms of liner notes here. This record that I found a couple of years ago also included this original, I think, inner sleeve. You see still with some details about taking care of using and taking care of your record, still printed. Looks not only yellowish, and it's like browned by time, but still surviving. The record itself, still quite glossy, shiny. It was a pretty good condition record with this oh, it's reddish. I guess it's red. It looks red to orange to me. RCA Victor label with the red seal mentioned as well. Now I have to say, it looks quite good. It still has some dust on it. I took them out to show them to you, and already, they catch dust and sort of small pieces of lint. But I have to say, it still sounds pretty good. It's now been 60 years since this record was released. It looks good. It sounds pretty good. Obviously, it has some surface noise, probably in-depth groove wear, or some dirt within the grooves that I could not really wash out with my cleaning options. But still, pretty decent release, and I'm happy to have it. It's quite cheap to get, and since it's from the year of the original release, to me, it's it's historically significant. Now, the second thing that we will see is this CD release from 2001. It is a 35th anniversary edition of The Sound of Music on CD, with this double CD on this double digipack. The front is still the iconic picture. The back has the contents of the 2 discs on the front, and you will see inside as well, it has this pink banner here, and we'll see why this matters, because pink is a motif for this release. In fact, when you open up the digipack, or on this part of the spine, you see it's pink, and then inside, when you open it, you will see the 2 discs in white plastic holders, which is good. Digipacks nowadays, some of them are missing this feature, which keeps the discs better, I think, than the digipacks we have today. The discs themselves are pink, and then in the middle you have this picture of Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, again with a heavy pink tint. Now, this release contained the original soundtrack as it was on the vinyl that I just showed you, but also with some extra tracks as well from the movie, because in order to fit it on one initial vinyl release, they cut a lot of the music from the movie, so they made very specific selection of tracks and pieces of tracks to include on the original soundtrack. This is a little bit expanded, and we had this booklet as well. I think I showed this to you before, like 1.5 years ago, I think, during a Christmas episode. You have some reproductions from the original record, because this picture of Julie Andrews was the one on the back of the record. Here is in color, and then some details about the musical movie as well, with some pictures. And yeah, on the back you have this nice picture from Salzburg of Julie Andrews and the children. I have to say, the sound of this is pretty good. I really like the way that it sounded at the time I bought it. It seemed like the right choice. But we will see. We have slightly improved versions for you today as well. The next one that we're going to be looking at today is the 2023 remastered and remixed version of the soundtrack. This time, I think it is full soundtrack, so they took everything that they had recorded for the movie that was used also in the musical film. You have 3 records, so they expanded the initial release of the soundtrack completely. The first record, so what they did is they didn't keep the first record as being the original soundtrack in its original form, but rather it included on the first record, or first disc of this set, extra songs versus an extra musical pieces than the original one. So basically now they are expanding it across these 3 records, including all of the musical elements, or most of the musical elements in the film, from beginning to end. The film itself is 3 hours almost, right? It had an intermission as well as the stage musical did, so it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of music in this. You have the back where you can see the contents of the 3 discs. This is considered a deluxe edition, is released by Craft Recordings, and you'll see they have their own elements that kind of make the Craft Recordings unique or recognizable. This is a deluxe edition. It's a complete score of the movie, as I said. It includes some rare photos and some liner notes by film historian and preservationist Mike Metasino, and you will see them inside the sleeve. And the remix and the remaster happened, or was done, using the original multi-track tapes for this. Now, taking a look inside on this fold-out, quite nice. The liner notes, you see, they can take a lot of space. You could have built a small booklet with these, right? But it's really nice to get to read all of this. The lacquers for this were cut by Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound, and they were pressed at RTI. 180 gram vinyl, all of those things that are now very popular, obviously. Now let's take a look at one of the records themselves. I'm not going to take all three of them, they look very similar, right? But one thing again to note is that Craft Recordings is including these releases and these anti-static sleeves, similar to the ones used by Mobile Fidelity Labs, so pretty good quality. And then the disc itself does not reproduce the original label. It has the Craft Recording label, yellow and red. For me, it's not a problem. The content is what matters to me, and in this case, they did a very good job with this new stereo mix. Sounds really, really good. And now the last piece we're gonna see today is the same new remaster, new mix from 2023, but this time on CD. And here we have this deluxe edition. This includes 5 discs, so even more than the vinyl release. It includes extra songs and recordings, alternate takes versus the vinyl release. You have, I think, quite a huge bit of content. The first disc is the film score presentation, Act 1. Then you have the second disc, Act 2. On the second disc, you have also some interviews. And then you have the original soundtrack on disc 3 with some additional tracks. And on disc 4, you have a lot of alternates and playbacks. Now, this is why this is important, because this includes, for the first time on a physical release, the recordings of Christopher Plummer, who recorded indeed at least some of his parts singing as Captain Von Trapp for the movie. Fortunately for him, even though the recordings are quite good, and you can actually listen to them online, and his parts were re-recorded for the picture by a more tenured musician or a performer actually, Bill Lee, which is the voice that you can hear in the movie when on like Edelweiss and all of the other songs where Christopher Plummer contributes or sings are heard. To mention, you saw on the back, you saw sort of that leaflet with the contents of the discs. We will remove it because you also have this thick booklet this thick book actually to look at when we will unseal this in a few moments. Just to mention that on the 4th disc, aside from these alternate takes, you also have a lot of instrumentals, and the last disc is a Blu-ray audio disc, which includes the film score presentation, both acts in 96 kilohertz 24-bit high-resolution audio, and the original soundtrack in a Dolby Atmos mix. Okay, so next step is to unseal this and see how things look inside. So if you want to see how the contents are, and especially how the book is, stick around. So let's unseal this and take a look at it. I cannot keep this wrap as I do on some records and CDs, because after cutting this, it's no way of keeping it on, but I will try to recover this hype sticker because it has a lot of good information about the content. But let's see, I think we can just rip this apart because already had some dents on it. I have to mention, so for the vinyl release, this is still fairly widely available. I guess it's the standard one nowadays, so you can find it, or at least I found it in Romania at a lot of, or at least a few dedicated shops. But the CD release on simple, discs, CDs is also widely available. But the Super Deluxe Edition 5-disc set is not. So in Europe, as far as I was looking, with transport included from other countries, I rarely found it. When I found it, even on Discogs, it would have cost me up to 100 euro, if not more sometimes, which to me it's too much for this. It's a great release, but still, it's not worth that much. Managed to find it in the US at a seller for like $33 or something like that, which is closer to maybe a decent price for it. Maybe more decent price or closer to reality would be like $50, but importing it from the US means also transport and as well the VAT tax for import, at least for Romania. So yeah, I ended up paying, I guess, closer to $60-70, possibly a little more, but at least it's not €100. So and I feel like, you know, I got a good bargain. It was sealed as well. Okay, so here we are. Quite nice quality book. Let's see about this leaflet. It seems to be a little bit stuck. It probably had some... Okay, there we go. Yeah, it had a little bit of glue here. Actually, we can look at this more, you know, closely now. See, Disc 1, Film Score Presentation, Act 1. Disc 2, Act 2. With some interviews with Richard Rogers, Robert Wise, and Chairman Carr. Then Disc 3 has the original soundtrack from 1965 with some additional music. Disc 4 with the alternates. And you can see the ones that have the little star, Sound of Music, so number 5, number 6 Edelweiss. And you have Something Good alternate number 10. It's mentioned here, features vocal by Christopher Plummer. And again, I've listened to those. He was quite good. I mean, I guess, you know, his replacement was a more trained musician, and you know, obviously the soundtrack with him on it sounds really, really good. But I feel like, you know, Christopher Plummer did a pretty good job. I mean, it wouldn't have been a problem to include him. Anyway, instrumentals also on disc 4, and then disc 5, the Blu-ray with the acts 1 and 2 in high resolution audio, and then the original soundtrack in Dolby Atmos. Okay, let's see what we have actually on the back of the book. Again, the title and contents of disc briefly, right? And the kids with Maria on the meadows near Salzburg, at least theoretically, right? Again, the iconic front cover of the album, obviously a poster of the movie, stereo, and well, let's see inside. Okay, have this reddish burgundy interior. Oh, very nice. Picture the musical scales for, I guess, Maria. Yeah, she climbs a tree and scrapes her knee. So yeah, it's from the song that the nuns are singing in the beginning of the movie. We have an essay here by Mike Matessino. I think part of this is also included on the vinyl, right? You saw there a lot of the text. We have a foreword by Ted Chapin from May 2021. A lot of very nice pictures. Oh, cool. I think this is a wardrobe fit for Julie Andrews. That's nice. Yeah, she was a perfect fit for this movie. Like the movie, it just flows so nicely. I'm seeing it with my kid from time to time, and it's still great. It's just very enjoyable, regardless of how many times you've seen it before. Okay, very nice pictures. And this book is like a whole sort of dossier on the movie. You have, again, now a section about the Super Deluxe edition that you currently have, so more details about that. People who recorded music, a lot of very nice high quality pictures. So yeah, in terms of a booklet, like the ones in many of the Beatles Deluxe edition that I've showed here, yeah, this is how you do a Deluxe edition, to be honest. Oh, you also have the lyrics of the songs. You can see Lowly Goatherd, Edelweiss, very, very nice. So Long Farewell. Again, the contents, in case you lose the leaflet. And now we have the musical content itself. It's very nice. So I see this like a fold out. Okay, it's a decent presentation. At least it's a little bit different than what you see. Usually it's just embedded on the page. They make this little sort of opening. But again, the discs are within these cardboard pockets. And again, the label that Craft Recordings are using with the yellow and red. With the white and red, apologies. Not much to see here, just kind of regular, especially with their labeling, they all kind of look the same. This is the Blu-ray probably. Let's take a look at this a little bit. Yeah, you can see a little bit the color is different on the disc. Okay. Yeah, quite a high quality product still. I don't enjoy these pockets too much, but at least they were kind of inventive on the presentation. And there we go. Again, the back of the book. Sound of Music 2023 Deluxe Edition, remastered and remixed. Well, that was about it for today. This release really is worth the money if you can get it at a price, you know, closer to 60 euro, $70, something like that. It's definitely worth the price of admission. It's sad that they didn't produce more of these, because the book is really nice, and you know, the content is really special, and the quality of the sound of the content is really good. So it's a very good release from start to finish. It brings really a new light on the Sound of Music soundtrack with all of the things that are included. I was talking about the CD version from 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and there were others as well. They sounded pretty good. But this is quite an improvement. Like, it's really something that is different from other remasters or anniversary editions of the past. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all the stuff. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope I'll see you next time.